Zelensky is used to just going to the White House with his hand out, and Biden just, oh, here's your check, go. Trump and Vance finally should tell him how to calculate the cabbage. We're not going to give you any more money. We need to work on this deal, on this, and stop coming here and disrespecting this office. Well, he went off in a huff, and now the rest of the European countries are working with him on a peace plan. But if it's going to be so easy, why did they do it to save us some money?
Well, and then also, Zelensky does not want the war to stop. He's making a fortune. And he came over here, I'm sure this is why he came over to Biden. Give me the check, we'll talk for a while. But when he didn't get what he wanted from, Trump, if you go into a meeting with Trump and say, I'm going to bully Trump, oh, you are stupid. You are so stupid. And then Trump did a smart thing. Have you ever seen a meeting between two leaders like that broadcast for everybody to see? Not in your lifetime. Not in my lifetime. That's a long time. So Trump wanted to make sure that Zelensky got an attitude adjustment. And you know what? I don't care if his feelings got hurt. I don't care if it made him crap his pants. He needs to know that we're not their banker. There's no other country on this planet who doesn't require repayment except us. Does that make sense? Our kids are starving, our vets are living on the street, and we're sending that big fat moron, dictator, $200 billion. How does that make sense to anybody? That just doesn't make sense. And so Trump, I think very nicely, said to him, I don't care, don't you tell us how to feel. Zelensky, if anybody remembers, said, you got nice speeches now. Not going to be so nice later. He threatened Trump. Okay, I'm a bossy little bitch and I just have done things, but even I wouldn't do that. And he's fighting for us. Trump is in front of the crowd, fighting for our citizens. He is the only leader in this country right now whose sole goal are Americans and our well-being and our prosperity. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Now, every new regime that comes in says, we're going to clean up this mess and get rid of all of this waste and,
drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp. They all make, and they never, not for 5 seconds do they try it. They don't. And you think we'd know by now. He got in here and did more work in one day than Biden did in 4 years. And he didn't crap himself while doing it. That was nasty, wasn't it? Good.
I think the trouble with politicians is they say they're going to Washington and I'm going to save money and not spend money here. But they spend so much in their election. When they get to Washington, they're still in spending mode. And they keep it going with tax dollars rather than money from their coffers. So they're all hypocrites.
It's, here VP Harris spent $1,200,000 in 90 days and lost it all. She paid celebrities to come endorse her. Stuff that she went on a podcast for a woman who, pig. I mean, and people voted for her saying, if we go to war, that's the baby I want in front of me. If you don't mind getting your ass shot off. It's crazy.
And the funny thing is about that podcast, she didn't go there. She had that person come to her and rebuilt her set for like $200,000.
Which we paid for. The thing that I think the average person, we're so used to paying tax and income tax, which is a temporary measure that they were supposed to only do during the war. Maybe that's why they keep the little wars going. I don't know. But we pay for all of this stuff. It's our money. It's real. People don't think of it as real money. I don't know how much everybody pays in taxes. I don't even know how much we pay in taxes. But I do know if I wasn't paying, well, we don't pay state tax here. If I wasn't paying federal tax, my checks would be bigger. And I like that. I want to know that I get to keep 100% of what I earn. Look at that U.S. aid. Oh Oh my God, they were sending Sesame Street over to Saudi Arabia. Most of the money there would eventually end up in Iran. You know what? People in Lower Slobovia don't really care about a drag queen show. They're struggling to eat. But and you gotta figure, what is the reason for us sending it over there? The individuals that approved that, what was their reason? Obviously, their reason was they were going to get paid. That's just the reason. I mean, they didn't do it because they knew those children needed to see, men dress up as women and dance. Although I think a good drag show is awesome, it shouldn't have been over there. And I'll bet you they got those poor dancers for nothing and then took the rest of the money and put it in their pocket. What else could it be? You tell me.
Closest thing to drag I liked was the old Bud Light commercials with the guys who put on dresses to the ladies' nights. And his funny thing is, back then before it was woke, that's when they're dressing as women, and now it's geared.
Oh, no. I mean, we have been, or at least I have been, involved part of the gay community because I just think they're awesome people. And so I've been to drag shows. I've done the makeup for I've done the whole thing. Been in there, helped them zip up their dress. It's very exciting and fun. But it shouldn't be a political.
Well, the priority should be defense in the armed forces. I believe in peace through superior firepower. We need a kick-ass arsenal to deter people from going to war with us. That's number one. What's number two for you?
I have a soft spot for the veterans that come back from war broken because it's the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. Now, obviously, I've never been to war, but when I watch the TV, especially in New York, and I see veterans sleeping on the street, I don't know how you can live with yourself. What I would do with taxes, I would first heal the people in this country that need it. I would prosecute anybody who screws with the system. You steal from a system. If Ellie's president and you steal from the government, your ass is behind bars. And not for 30 days or overnight. I'm talking, it should be mandatory. Somebody's stealing from the government, 10 years minimum. And for every dollar over 1,000 is a year. So $10 or 10 years, plus I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 other dollars. I think schools should go back to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic in an appropriate. I don't want my kid to know the difference between a penis and a vagina when he's 4. They'll forget in 5 minutes anyway. I want my kids to go to school and be the best at math, be the best at writing and reading. I want them to be the best so that when they get to 5th grade, they can learn their second language. I want kids to be treated like the geniuses they are. The reason kids don't do well is we have the lowest standard of anyone in the world. We have more money, but less desire to do Japan. When I taught school, I had 2 sisters from Japan. They were so smart, so organized. It was so natural for them that they made A on everything. I was embarrassed because the tests were so low standard, in my opinion. We need to stop worrying about educating our kids on sex. That's up to the parent. Welfare. You have a baby, you need help. My system on the welfare was you'd go in for 2 years. During that 2-year period, you get free home, you get free food, not free money to buy food, free food from a commissary, healthy food. Then you bring your kid into a big building that has free nursery, child care. Then your ass goes upstairs and it takes classes on some vocational thing, typing, fixing a car, hairdressing. You go there every day. You don't show up. If you break any of the rules, you can get yourself thrown out of the system, and then you get nothing. If you have a second child during this, you're out. So many of people who are on welfare have 4, 5, 6 kids. They're actually on videos saying, "Well, I did this and this, and I have this from Zap, and I have this from that, and this and whatever." And people are making $4,000 and $5,000 a month, whereas people who are busting their ass going to work slinging hamburgers to get by are making half that. That doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense to me. So I would allocate the money first to strengthen what is weak, and then to focus on growth and potential. Women, I mean, I've known people, women on welfare, and their husbands took off when they had 3, whatever. Good kids, wonderful people, and like one lady that was adorable, she'd never worked in her life, and she didn't know what to do. And she and I went to the same church, so I said, "Well, this guy is the pastor," and he just kind of got the church together. He hired her as his secretary. Now, she wasn't a typist, she wasn't that, whatever, but she did an excellent job at what she knew, and she went to classes to learn more. That's an awesome. And I'd say she should be able to stay on welfare as long as she needs to while she's working full time, taking care of her 3 children. That's a situation where it shouldn't be just 2 years. But a young woman who has a baby because they had an accident and the guy took off or whatever it might be. But some of these women that are on welfare actually have the baby daddies living with them. That doesn't make sense. You know, if he doesn't have to pay rent, he should get a job and pay her for the food, whatever. And then I have a theory on criminals. I think that prisons should be built by the criminals in them. Makes sense. Down here in Sugar Land, they used to have a system by which the people who were criminals worked farmland and corn and stuff like that. They learned a trade. When they got out of prison, they had a trade. They also had it lined up so they would interview and have a networking system so they could get a job. They loved it, and some skinny dumb bitch came down here and said, "That's not right. You know, that's against their constitutional this, and this is greed." So they shut it down, and the people who were the most upset were the Congress. Now she took off. She was trying to make something for herself. She took away from those men what they needed. You got to build your own prison. You'll take better care of it. You know, you can get a certain amount of money put into a savings account. You can advance your life. You can make it better in prison by taking a responsibility. And I think that anybody can learn, and that's probably not true, but most people can learn how to build. And remember that prison isn't only just men with no education, women with no education. There's doctors and lawyers and engineers and everything in prison. Let's put that talent to it. Just make the best with what you have. Don't always run out and say, "Mommy, give me money. Give me. Somebody's going to run out." And also your dignity, your abilities, your potential, that all dies too. Well, they've got videos where the women are very proud. And the thing of it is they're saying, "Well, I get this in Section 8, that. And I think they're smart. They know how to take that situation and maximize it. Why aren't they using this smart for our company? Why aren't they using it for our company? Look at all the young kids that now are seeing it on their phone. Having a child can do it, some of them don't. But generationally, they're trained to be able to do it. Why would anybody want their child to do it? Doesn't make sense. We have to make welfare what it was. It's a hand to mouth, not a handout. People that I see that have lost their food stamps, whatever it is, are indignant that we would take away what is rightfully theirs. I don't want them to have my money to lay on their ass and have one baby after another. I don't. Sorry. What about you, baby? Do you want to give taxes to baby mamas?
No. especially when those babies aren't mine.